Recording. Oh, very good.
Okay. Well, I'm really happy to have Katy Williams here with us today, former UA PhD, now graduate. So, Katie, why don't you tell us about your degrees completed, all of them, your hometown, and your current position?
Yeah, so I'm Katy Williams, she, her. I got my bachelor's degree in computer science from Davidson College, and then I went on to the University of Arizona, where I got my master's and PhD in computer science. My hometown is Apex, North Carolina, so that's just outside of Raleigh. And now I'm back at Davidson College as an assistant professor in math and computer science.
Great, great. So, can you tell me why you chose UA Computer Science when you were starting, thinking about where to go for your PhD?
Yeah, I was looking for programs that were strong in computer science grad programs, but then I also wanted to explore a different area of the country. And UA ticked both of those boxes because I mentioned I was from North Carolina. I had stayed in North Carolina, so I wanted to try going somewhere else. And at the time that I was applying to grad school, the the UACS program was specifically recruiting from liberal arts colleges. So they had reached out to Davidson and said, "Hey, we're interested in your students. Do you have anyone who's excited to apply?" And so I went in ahead and applied and then took my trip out to Tucson and loved the area. And so that's how I ended up at U of A.
Great. So during your time here, what did you enjoy most?
I really enjoyed all of the opportunities for learning. Like I enjoyed my classes, but what's even more fun in grad school is once you're done with classes and get to learn just for the sake of learning. So I really enjoyed like my lab meetings. I was in the HDC lab, so that's the Humans Data and Computing Lab. So we were doing data visualization predominantly and learning different things through reading papers and learning what my peers were doing and stuff like that. But then also casual conversations with other PhD and master students, like just during coffees and different things, or talking to professors in office hours. Like that was really rewarding for me.
And at that time, the HTC lab was really large, right? Weren't there a lot
Yeah,
of students in it?
I was gonna say there was probably 8 to 12 students in there with a few visitors that would pop in and out. And faculty wise, I think there was like 4 or 5 core faculty that were kind of mentoring students in that group.
Right. So in terms of, again, in your time here, what's your single favorite memory?
Well, I kind of have two, but I had never been to a conference before. And so going to the big data visualization conference with my lab was really fun. I got to go my very first year as a grad student because it was in Phoenix, so we all drove up together. But then my other favorite memory that I now recite to students was actually in your class, Dave. So I took Dave's parallel programming class, and he has this one assignment that like you reiterate over and over that there is a trick to it, and if you can find the trick, then you do it in like an efficient amount of code. But I had not found the trick, and so I'd come to office hours and my code had started ballooning, and you were like, well, you might be able to do it this way, but it is easier if you figure out the trick. So with like 6 hours to go left on the assignment, I had scrapped my code, redid everything, and I managed to like mostly figure out the trick and get my points back. So that's what I tell my students now whenever they're attached to their code. I'm like, you can always delete it and start back over and find the trick, I promise you.
Now that you're mentioning this, I believe I remember, but I had not remembered this several years ago now. So
Uh-huh.
thanks for bringing that back up.
Yeah.
So tell us about your current position at Davidson.
Yeah, so I'm an assistant professor and I'm in my second year of teaching at Davidson College, which is a small liberal arts college right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Our claim to fame is that this is where Steph Curry went, and we're big basketball fans at this school. But I love Davidson because it's a liberal arts school, so there's a big emphasis on interdisciplinary learning and then also preparing our students to go out into the world and lead lives of leadership and service. And so now being back here, it's been fun to figure out like, even though it's a teaching focused place, there's a lot of really cool research that's happening here. And so, for example, like this summer, I worked with three students on three very different data visualization projects. And so we got some really good progress made over the summer. And I hope to polish those up into papers this spring, kind of a thing.
Great. Yeah, I mean, Davidson is an elite liberal arts college, right? It's one of the
Mm.
top ones in the country. Um, so for our current PhD students, what advice would you give them? I mean, a PhD is a tough thing to do. It takes stamina. What would you say, if today you could talk to some of our students?
Yeah, I like you're saying with building stamina, don't let it take over your life and also build community because that will ultimately kind of give you the energy to keep going. So like for me, I made a lot of close friends in the department, but then I also found a lot of like energy and enthusiasm outside of the department, like being active. Tucson is gorgeous, so I did a lot of swimming outside and I made connections that way. So build community because that'll help you get through the long 5 or 6 years. And then also don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's something that I have been learning kind of my whole life, but have been continuing to learn. Like I wish I had asked for more help in grad school, just like going to office hours or asking other people in my lab for help or asking my advisor for help. Everyone is always willing to help, but nobody knows that you need help unless you ask for it. And that time is never wasted, in my opinion.
Great. So I think you referenced it just now, but what's something interesting about you that people might not know?
Yeah. So I'm a longtime swimmer. I grew up swimming and then I swam at Davidson College. And I was fast enough, fortunately, to like win a couple conference championships. And then I also went on to Olympic trials in 2016. And I competed in the 100 and the 200 breaststroke. So that was really fun. And I sort of toyed around with the idea of going for it again in 2020. So during my time in Arizona, I like trained with the team out there and was working towards trying to qualify again for Olympic trials. But then COVID hit, and that's when I decided, you know what, I can hang up my goggles and just do this for more fun. So I've continued swimming, but at a much less competitive level than I used to, but it's still enjoyable.
I think this is the grad school destination for elite athletes. That's
Yeah. A lot of
uh,
biking and running and triathlon and swimming and all sorts of stuff.
right. All right. Well, Katie, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today, and you know, thanks again, and we wish you continued luck at Davidson.
Very good. Thank you.